Rahim. Welcome back. Let's start with part four, growth. And we will, in this segment, we'll try to understand how Roxanne Kumbi was able to grow her business to new heights. That is like she went up to $3 million a month. And we will see that how this story we started from a jungle, from a forest with almost no resource, and eventually she started an experiment. We started with $200, and she reaches $3 million a month, $3 million a year. So once again, the story we started, and we saw that in 1989, when she was able to come up with a basic prototype, and she was selling her products in her nearby town, and where she was going on a weekly basis. She was told that why doesn't she go and sell her product in the nearby towns. To go to a nearby town, she needed a transport facility. And once again, looking at the entrepreneurial mindset is how to do something with the least amount of resources. And she convinced Burt to use his wagon, and that was the beginning of her expansion. And she purchased another piece of tent. She convinced some of our team members, and she, along with her team member, the ladies, they got their own kids. They purchased a tent, and the tent was put back here on the back, and and here you go. You put the tent here. You put the kids inside. You travel to another place, and you park somewhere, and there in the parking place you have access to a bathroom, you have a stove with you, you cook, you stay there, and the next day you sell. And here you go, the birds started spreading. And you see and an interesting event took place. There was during one of those Christmas markets where she was selling her very traditional and very famous teddy bear candle, which was very beautiful, very unique, and very different, colorful. A person from an upscale boutique in Manhattan ordered teddy bear candles and got it purchased, went to New York, and it was a big hit. And he came back. He came back to that area, to that town, Maine, and struggled to find this lady. And eventually she got hold of her, and she asked her, "Ma'am, you should have a telephone. How can I access you if I need more?" And that was the point where Roxanne Quimby, you see, she felt the need of a telephone, but it was very difficult to get one because she was living in the jungle. And here, the entrepreneurial comes into action. She convinced the drugstore owner to take her telephone calls. We call it the ask. And she got access to the telephone, and she began hiring people for production and to expand product line to include other handmade products and beeswax products. So these women came from her network who were living in and around the main city. She was able to get hold of them and look at her first products. Simple, unique, organic, close to nature, and chemical free. And as she started making these candles, and as she was selling these products, one day she saw, you see, birdhouses being made. And when she saw them, she was disappointed with the quality. Since she was raised to be a go-getter, she knew how to operate a saw. She came back and talks with Burt. Burt, do you have a saw? I would like to make a birdhouse. And she gets the saw. Wood is there. She makes one, and when she goes to sell candles, she takes a birdhouse, and that is a hit. She comes back with new ideas, and that's another. She opens another stream of thing products. She has candles, a variety of candles, variety of colors and shapes, and she has a variety of birdhouses. And one day, Roxanne, she sees baby cloths being sold, and she sees, oh, how you see how primitive they are. the quality of stitching is not that good, and the quality of design is not that good. She comes, she's a master's in fine arts. She is a go-getter. She is creative and innovative, and she gets some few pieces of cloth. And with these few pieces of cloth, what Roxanne does is she makes few samples. So here's a question which comes into our mind, that what would a graduate, an MBA or a PhD do if they see this thing? If an MBA, a PhD or a BBA sees this, what will he do? Immediately he will start thinking about planning. He will start thinking about business planning, strategy. He will start thinking about resources. So this is a question which I asked my students, that if Roxanne Kumbi wanted to sew this pieces of cloth, what would she need? You know what students say? Sir, they need a sewing machine. They need a machine. And I said, okay, if there are like various machines available in the market, if there is a American machine of 500 USD, there is a Korean machine of like 200 USD, there is a Chinese machine. I remember it is 1978 or 83, a Chinese machine of $100. Which machine would they go for? So you know what my BBA, MBA students, they say, most of them will say go for the Chinese one. Some of them will say go for the topmost one, because the better quality, and the maintenance cost will be less. And very few will go here to the Korean ones. Most of them will go to the Chinese one. So then I tell them that Roxanne Kumbi will neither go for this, neither she will go for this, and neither she will go for this. Where will she go for? This is a question for you. Where should we go for? So this is what I tell to explain them, that as an entrepreneur doesn't go for any of the three. It might go for the Chinese one, but it will prefer not to go for that one either. It will try to do something without spending a money. So what did Roxanne going to do? Roxanne find out after reflection and thinking that in her own network there were some welfare moms who were living in their small houses. Some of them had sewing machine, and they knew how to stitch. So why don't I borrow from them? So now an entrepreneur will borrow a stitching machine. It will use an old stitching machine. It will use his networks, his aunt, his grandparents, and networks to find that stitching machine. So in Roxanne Gumbi's case, she was able to find a stitching machine from our network, and she brings it on a weekend, and she stitches a few cloths, and she's an expert in stitching and designing. She makes 3-4 pieces of cloths, and if you are an MBA or a BBA, how many pieces of cloth will you make? When I ask, most of my students say, sir, like 500, like sir, 200. But what does an entrepreneur do? Entrepreneur takes a calculated risk. She makes 4 pieces of cloth. So what does it mean by the word calculated risk? That if I am not able to sell 4 cloths, then what will happen? My kids will bear it. So I have nothing to lose. So that is a very interesting way of thinking, a very creative and innovative way of thinking, that Roxanne Quimby was able to make these products, candles. She was able to make these candles of various varieties, and all of these things are basic candles, birdhouses, baby cloths. They are down home. They are basic, natural, simple, and handmade. This is the USP, unique selling proposition. These are unique characteristics. With this is 1993, and the journey at 1997, she had reached 44 employees and sales representatives all over the US. $3 million annual sales, $800,000 in the bank, pre-tax profit of 35% of sales, and uncollected debt of only $2,500. So closely look at these, the products. And if you look closely, you see the picture of Burt coming on these products, and the honeybees and the beehives and the animals and natural pictures and fruits coming on these products. And this is a very interesting thing. These are cosmetic products mostly for women, and they're having the picture of Mr. Burt. So in 1987, 80% of the company was sold for $177 million, and 30% of ownership, 20% was still with Roxanne, and in 2002, the company was sold for like $1 billion, $1 billion, and 20% of that was owned by Roxanne. So it's a very interesting story, a story which started uh, from a jungle. And look at this, the natural products, 100% natural, various colored lipsticks, and you can see, and since 1984. So look at the marketing, how natural. So this is one of a tips and toes kit, a toes kit which is available. This is the balm, a product, and various